Rabbi, I thought of a different mashal for the example yesterday. We discussed about the Ratzon and the Emunah. Since Ratzon comes from a higher level, maybe it would be another mashal. It could be the like the professor, the lofty professor.
When you say higher than what?
Well, Ratzon comes. It's makif, and Emunah is pnimi, right?
Emunah comes from a deeper place in the neshama.
Deeper place?
Yeah, it comes from a deeper place. That's the chiddush. It comes from a deeper place, and yet it dafke is drawn into kalim.
Into kalim. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought there was nothing higher than Ratzon.
There's Emunah, and there's going to be a third level.
Okay.
That's my nefesh mamish. So it'll be 3 levels: Ratzon, Emunah, and then the etzem.
So Emunah. Okay.
Okay, we're going to address that a little bit. Just waiting for guys to show up. I know that Adam is here. Emunah is deeper. Ratzon is, by definition, you want something that you don't have. Emunah, so what you want is something that's outside your world and you want to get it. But Emunah stems from the deeper self, instinctual self, belief in Hashem. It's not as a result of being exposed to something and now I want it. The person didn't know about fancy cars, he wouldn't want it. And he wants it because he's aware of it. But Emunah stems from within, the very deep place in the neshama, because the neshama is a part of Hashem. The Ratzon is a general desire to survive and be successful. Emunah is beyond surviving and successing. Emunah touches the core identity of I'm a Yid. Within that itself, there's a third level to express the Mesiras Nefesh. She's going to go on to say, even higher than Emunah. So what he said now, that was clear? The riddle that was clear somewhat?
Yeah, understood. Okay, sorry, sometimes it takes a while to hit the button.
No, please continue to comment and this way we can dialogue and clarify. It's important. That you're thinking about it is the most important thing. You're thinking about the Maimer. So, to restate it before we go further, we're saying for Ratzon to have to deal with questions, it's a Yerida. I'd rather not have to deal with justifying what I want. But I have to, because I live in a world and have friends and have a wife. And my own seichel is like saying, what are you doing? So I've got to justify it my own seichel and give explanations. But the Ratzon, when you want something, because you just want it, it is a yerida for the Ratzon, meaning the will would rather not have to deal with this. But Emunah, it's not a yerida for seichel, because Emunah, I'm going to say something we didn't say yesterday. Emunah is you believe something is true. If you believe something is true, God, your soulmate, it's true, meant to be, it's not negotiable, then the Emunah itself demands, as it were, that every part of me be part of that truth. If we're meant to be, that means we're meant to be with every part of who we are, our seichel, our emotions, our physical bodies. So the faith that we're soulmates and we're meant to be, it's not a yerida, it's not a yerida for that to be appreciated intellectually and emotionally and to engage physically. It's not a yerida from the faith. That's the expression of the faith. If I really believe that we are one and we're meant to be, then every part of me is connected to every part of you. Seichel and Midas. So that's not a yerida for the emunah. That's the consequence of emunah. But for Rotzen to have to deal with justification, that's a yerida. I'd rather not anybody had any protests and I'll be go on my merry way and do what I want. I don't have to justify my behavior. So that's yerida for the Rotzen. But for the emunah, that the behavior and the seichel and the emotions be part of the relationship, that's not a yerida. That's the expression of the emunah. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Balacha in yeridas hamunah v'islapshusa b'seichel ein a yerida amitis. Why does he add the word amitis? Because it is a yerida in the sense that I'm explaining my faith, which means it's a compromise of the transcendent, infinite nature of the divine. But it's not a yerida amitis, not a true yerida, because God is true, and God is the source of seichel and everything. Then seichel has to know this too in the world of seichel. If we're meant to be, we're soulmates. It's not just on some essential level. We're meant to be. Soulmates means every single part of what we are on its level, meeting of minds, of hearts, etc. So the emunah is naturally expressed in all the lower levels of consciousness, and that's not called a yerida amitis, because it's a result of the emunah. Whereas the rotzen, it's a real yerida, because the rotzen doesn't want to deal with, if we can get away with it, with justifying behavior, desires. I want, because I want. Okay, now continuing. Vapia Yedua, it gets much more nuanced, friends. Just glancing ahead and then more nuanced again. Vapia Yedua, and in light of that which is known, he sent us to the Kotel Torah. This is a very basic notion, and that is She'emunah hu bittul v'seichel u'metzias. Emunah, of course, is bittul and seichel is metzias. Does somebody want to please just give a few words? Emunah is bittul and seichel is metzias. Nothing mysterious here. What would you say?
Suspending disbelief sometimes, so not even though we don't understand something, giving ourselves over to an enemy.
And seichel is
Working it through with yourself, with your faiths.
metzias, yeah. So emunah is transcend self, the mind, questions, protests, etc. It's bittul, it's a surrender to a higher truth. And seichel is metzias. Seichel seeks to understand. Wait a second, question, answer. Not satisfied till I understand. So they're opposite. Now, in light of the above, and we're talking about the interplay of the two. Moving. So therefore, when we say that the nature of emunah, if you believe it's true, so you want the seichel to be part of it. So what does that mean? So the emunah now being invested in understanding. Important words we need to get clear, which the Maimon will clarify, will elaborate upon, but the statement is the statement of this ois, that the bittul is drawn into metzias. That's fairly straightforward, right? Not really, because they're opposites, but that's what it is. The bittul is drawn into metzias. Bittul means surrender. Metzias means engagement. I have to understand this. So the bittul is drawn into metzias, into seichel. What that means is that as much as the mind understands, everything happens in the mind, friends. We live in our heads. So as much as the mind understands godliness, Yiddishkeit, etc., so if it's Here we're talking where the starting point is emunah. He starts b'tmimus, and he wants to understand it because again, if it's true, then every part of me is going to be part of this. So he wants to understand, as opposed to the other way. If someone's just not starting with emunah, a person starting with just intellectual pursuit, the seeking the truth, the discovery, that's different. That's not the discussion in the Maimon. It has its own milas actually, where it starts from not embracing the natural faith as a given, but rather the discovery of God, the chatchila, through an intellectual search. That's a different inyan. And again, in a way, it has a mila over. That's melamata l'maila. In a way, there's a mila of that relationship over melamata lamata. It's all interconnected. Anyway, but let's remain focused here. So, but here we're talking with where the amun is drawn into seichel. So what that means is that even as he understands, the mind itself has the appreciation of this is beyond understanding. The dimensions to this are beyond understanding fundamentally, and the mind appreciates that. So there's the bittul in the mind. That which can be apprehended of God, and the many things that we can understand about Yiddishkeit, and that they're beautiful and make sense of the world. And there are things that we can't understand. Each one on their level. I'm just mean tragedy. I mean, that's obvious, but there's mysteries. There's mysteries. And contemporary science is pointing to this. Again, I'm just saying words I really don't understand, but in quantum physics, there's the mystery. There's communication faster than the speed of light. There's all kinds of stuff going on that, well, this cannot be, there's no formula for this. This can't be put into numbers. So the seichel itself, it becomes, there's a bittul in the seichel. Shabittul nimshach b'metzius. The bittul of the emunah is drawn and felt and appreciated by seichel itself. Yes, somewhat clear? Let's continue. Now, why is he engaging in trying to understand? He doesn't need to. It's perfect faith. He's a tmimistic fellow, never corrupted himself. Brought up in a very sheltered environment. From birth. So his emunah shines, pure. Parents, very lofty people, great kavanas. They drew his soul down into the world. Doesn't need to understand at all. He feels in a very deep way, in touch with his own soul. So why is he understanding? Is because b'shvil ha'emunah, the emunah itself demands that, as we said earlier. If this is true, then it's got to be true for it's got to be true for every part of me. I want every part of me to be part of it. So mind has questions and answers. So he wants to understand. And in brackets, so again, given Shai's bonus, why is he engaged in understanding? It's because of the emunah. Unlike Rotzen. Rotzen doesn't want to have to deal with justification. If it has to, it has to, and it'll bully its way through.
Isn't this his blindness?
No, it starts with emunah, because I believe if I understand. And then the seichel guf is matalamayla, but what kicks the whole thing off is because of his emunah. I believe in you, therefore I want to understand you. Feel you. Gam in brackets. Gam and the fact that intellect doesn't become dissolved, overwhelmed by emunah, that's not what he wants. It remains and it doesn't get dissolved. When Rotzen enforces itself, seichel just gives up. Okay. Nothing stands in the way of will. It just mows down the seichel. Here's the explanation. And you got to buy it. if you don't doing it anyway. So seichel, as we said before, rotzen manipulates seichel. Even if I understand it, because if it's because of rotzen, and the raya is, again, I wouldn't want this just based on intellect alone. Rationally, I don't need this, but I want it. So the rotzen is, in the words of the Maimeh, mates ha-seichel, meshanes ha-seichel. That means misbatel. The seichel doesn't go away. You can say the explanations, but it's under coercion. So that's all in brackets. So the fact that the seichel remains now after the round bracket, so b'shvil emunah, seichel doesn't want emunah to dissolve. Seichel wants, emunah, the other way. Emunah doesn't want the seichel to dissolve. My faith in you wants my mind to be part of this, fully and satisfied, and not surrendered, but excited. The emunah wants that the seichel, as seichel is, should reflect the truth that we're soulmates, that there's a God. And I want the seichel, the emunah wants the seichel to be excited. We're clear. We're mid-breath here. So therefore, made a nuance here. After the bittul of emunah is drawn at the seichel, so he believes, again, soulmates. I believe at the depth of my being we're meant to be. I know this in the core of my soul. And I want, therefore I want to understand you. Notwithstanding, listen carefully, notwithstanding that I can write a book about why we're soulmates, can explain it, why I want you and nobody else. So it's all seichel. The bittul remains betokfa in all of the understanding. It doesn't diminish the belief in you. It's a very big thing. The emunah wants, you should understand. Learn a lot of chassidus and understand kashrus and philosophy, Rambam, Mer Nevuchim, etc. If you're talking about God or in a relationship, it's a meeting of minds. So you would think perhaps they become now this great intellectual, a great academic, a big Talmud Chacham, a big maskell in chassidus, can answer all the questions. The emunah would be weak. It's not true. The emunah, that person remains as complete innocence. But on the contrary, because the only reason he's in the world of seichel is because of the emunah. So the emunah is not compromised. It's the emunah that drives this. In other words, the seichel could say, I understand already enough. The emunah says, no, I want you to understand deeper. Every crevice of the mind, in the depth of the mind, harava, yigia atzuma, needs to understand. I want no corner, says the emunah part of the soul. I want no corner of me that isn't illuminated with your light. No corner of my mind. So you don't need it. At one point the seichel says, okay, I understand, I get it, I'm convinced. No, then when I learn another mind, deeper, like in a relationship. It's going to be the ever ongoing quest to understand each other deeper and grow. And it doesn't compromise the emunah, because the emunah is driving this. The emunah betokfa. So the chassid, I hope one day you meet one. The chassid he's a curious combination of a profound intellectual, the classic chassid Chabad, and it's the most mystic person, simple and wonder, like the Ish Poshet B'Yosef, like the simplest person. He has this, both. They're not, it's one thing. It's his emunah that has made him such a big mask. Not because it started off with intellectual journey, which it can happen that way too. And I said before, there's a mile in that way, but that's not the Indian here, the model here. We're clear.
Which means that even if he's not a great intellectual, the emunah motivates his seichel to
learn to heart of it. Yeah.
Right.
He doesn't need to have explanations. He's a There's natural emunah. He's got enough answers already. We're not learning we're not learning chassidus is because to answer questions. We're learning chassidus so that the mind is no more questions, Your Honor. I'm convinced. Thank you very much. Okay. No more questions. Still got to learn. Why? Because there's the mind and it's deeper and there's more understanding. And know me, says God, with your mind. We have got to meet on every level. One is one. It's in everything. It's any part that's outside. We're not fully one. Not just be'etzem. One in seichel and one in midas and all the way down to the basar gashmi. We've got to be one. Don't forget me when you're engaged in your business too. Let's continue the Maimer. So now a new nuance coming. So we're saying that the bittul of emunah isn't compromised, notwithstanding the fact that I understand in a profound understanding of the divine, of us being soulmates, etc. But there's still a difference. There's a difference between the bittul of emunah as found, as we identified in seichel, and the bittul of emunah hide in seichel. And that is, before I go further, you understand what he's saying? Well, we're going to explain now. Yeah? Yeah?
Yeah, within the context of the three levels. Yeah.
What?
The three levels of bittul within Emunah. Yeah.
We haven't got to the third level yet. We're talking level one.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
But the chiluk, no, I'm asking you if you understand what he's about to explain. The difference between A and B. What's A and what's B? No mystery here. Even though you're giving a frozen picture on the outside, I was really convinced it was you. No.
The way Emunah engages.
I thought you were transfixed. Bittul, mamish. The seichel is working with so open bittul, no movement. As your understanding. So, yeah, what's he going to explain now? The difference between what and what?
The way it's engaged with the seichel, and the bittul of Emunah, which is less engaged or not engaged. Which
What's the it?
The Emunah.
No, the bittul is the subject matter. We're going to explain the difference between the bittul of Emunah as it is in seichel and the bittul of Emunah hide in seichel. Even though we just said moments ago that the bittul is betokfei of the Emunah, even if it's invested in seichel. It's going to explain the difference, nonetheless. The Emunah shelamaylim b'seichel hu. Emunah, which is, again, not addressed by the mind at all. I'm sorry. So the bittul of Emunah, which is consciously felt in the mind, the awe in the mind, it's a conscious, tzir the gilu means it's a conscious awe that the person has in his mind as a result of intellectually addressing godliness, his faith, God, soulmate, going back and forth in our example so we don't get lost. The bittul is revealed in seichel as opposed to what? The more atmistic levels higher than gilui. Mitzius. The bittul is drawn into seichel, and the seichel says is in awe of the divine, in awe of you. As much as I understand you, and I do, I'm understanding that which can be understood about you. But then there's elements of you that the mind itself sees as forever a mystery, beyond understanding. It's the bittul in the seichel. But this is a seichel, it's mitzias. I mean, it's in the mind, it's conscious, you're aware of it. Continuing, very, very nuanced. The noisif laws in addition to the fact, shaseichel intellect in italics, shaboy mislabish intellect in which our faith is being addressed. It's being addressed by the mind, who mitzias. Very subtle point now. For sure, intellect is a mitzias. It's an entity, a defined entity. Seichel, his parameters, his logic. In addition to the fact that where am I having my bittul in my mind, which is by definition is the place of logic. In addition to that, gam hagili do hamuna, the fact that the emunah is descended to the world of intellect. The fact that the emunah is in such a revealed way that the mind also apprehends it. Even the emunah is in mitzias. That's like the that's the this is the that brings the hergish. He's going to say it himself. Let Maimon say it. But let's try and get technically what he says. What is he saying now? He's saying that there is a difference in the bittul of the emunah. There's the pure emunah, which defies any kind of language. It's instinctual, if you like. Any kind of appreciation, any words, any kind of intellectual appreciation. Then the emunah, but I need to understand you, and I must understand you. My mind must embrace that we're meant to be. The mind has to embrace this. The mind has to see it. Good. So that's already an agenda. When he says these words here, Gam hagili de emunah hu metzias, it means there's an agenda to the emunah. A good agenda, a critical one, necessary, but still an agenda. There's the true emunah, the simple emunah, hide in seichel, we're meant to be. Now, the emunah says the mind's going to also know we're meant to be. So the emunah is now engaging in mitzias, in the world of mitzias, of agenda, and it's supposed to, that the mind should also understand. But so therefore, the bittul is not the same. It's a therefore to this relationship. The relationship starts with the emunah, that's the foundation. And therefore, a very deep place, tied in seichel completely. But then there's the therefore it should come into seichel. So this is the okay, the mind will spell it out for us. Continuing further, but the true emunah as it is within the essential self, well, the mitzi is the gili. There's no agenda of revelation. Something else has to know. My mind has to know. It's just the pure, we're one. It's higher than, and therefore I need to appreciate you. There's no agenda, there's a gilui. It's just the truth of the pure faith that we're soulmates are meant to be. Now, the dogma is important. Habitl the oira mislabesh bekelim. It's the first level. Habitl the oira shalamayla mislabesh is on the second level of oir. Shigam ha'oira mislabesh bekelim. What's the moshel? That's the actual picture per se. Even though Ein Metzias La'atzmai, what is this picture? It's a picture of something else. V'cholin yonder gili amoy. And all it is to reveal the moy. Ella, Shabitl, this first level is a oira mislabesh betzir begili, but how is this revelation coming? It's coming in the mitzias, this picture, the light that's traveling from it that conveys the image. The nice of mitzias for sure. The keli in which it's invested is a mitzias. To use an example of the image, it will be the paper, the film upon which the image is shown. That's for sure mitzias. But but the light that is traveled, bounced off the mountain, the lagoon, whatever it is, they're looking at, that's also mitzias. It's traveled away from there. So that's the lower level of the lower level of Oir is the Seichel, is the Emunah that's drawn into Seichel. And the bittul of Oir, which is hidden investment, that's looking at the picture and it evokes feelings, it points you there, not the picture, it points you that way. This isn't about revelation. This is much purer about the place, the object itself. Okay, to be explored further tomorrow. Be'ezrat Hashem, and the third level, Mesiras Nefesh.
How does this jive together with the Bina, Chochma,
We'll think about
and
that.
Keser?
Okay, we'll think about that. We'll think about that and then try and put it all together. I think we'd have to make a chart because it's only three things we're talking about. Three things, three levels, but there's different expressions of it. Just to have L'neged Einenu before us, the levels, like Chaim is pointing out, Chochma, Keser, Bina. The Keser, Chochma, Bina, yeah. Okay, friends. To be revisited, continue Be'ez Hashem tomorrow. Today's story.